I'm Dr. George Flynn, and you're watching In-Depth TV. Today we're going to talk about, well, change. And change in what? Well, change in your life. What change do you want? What do you want? Everybody says, I want change, I want more money. Well, do you want change in your social skills? You want change in your health? You want change in all your relationships? Or do you want change in your attitude maybe? And maybe change in your attitude can change all the other things. But we'll get in depth with a little bit of this. And most people in life that I've encountered want to see some kind of change. Well, they want their social skills. They want to be able to get along with people. They want to be able to have the friends and have input with the friends rather than just sit back and listen. They want to have a change in their health. Most people go on diets. Some people want to gain weight. Some people want to lose weight. Some people want to get, we'll call it, to their ideal weight. How do they do this? Diet and exercise. Some people think, well, there's a magic pill that will help. Well, really, it's diet and exercise. As a physician, I can tell you it's primarily diet and exercise. But change in your relationships with your friends and family and your children and your husband, wife, partner. Change. Everybody wants to talk about it. Kind of like the weather. Everybody talks about it. Nobody does anything about it too much. But change in your attitude. Your attitude, the change in your attitude will change a lot of things for everybody all around you. Well, when you get to change, sometimes you can find people are a little superstitious, or their fear change. They worry about it. They find many, many reasons to not change. And some of the reasons may be, who wants this change? Well, you say, well, I want the change. I want to do this. I want to do that. Is it really you wanting the change? Or is it a member of your family? A member of your social group? Or the entire social group? Or your entire friends network? What changes do they want that maybe you don't want? But you're, as we call, stuck working on these changes for other people, not for you. So you got to really figure out who wants this change in your life. Is it you, or are you changing for other people? There's a song, don't go changing just to please me, but you know the song, and you know the idea. That's the key, is you change for you, not for other people. Now, if you want to get along with them better, you're saying, well, I want to change so that I can get along with them better. Because change, it's a little bit challenging, we'll call it. We won't call it too difficult. We'll call it challenging. Well, you need that inner drive to change. A lot of people start a lot of things. They start diets. They start exercise programs. A lot of people say, I want to read more books. And I've found myself guilty of this too. I'll read the first chapter or the first 2 chapters of a book and then put it aside, put it in the shelf. I've got a lot of books on my bookshelf that have 2 chapters read or 3 chapters read. So you've got to have that inner drive. You can start a lot of things, and most people start many, many more things than they finish. So how do you continue? How do you start something and say, I'm going to see this through? You got to have that inner drive. You got to have that drive that takes you past the obstacles. We all get excited and excitement level goes way up when we're going to change, and then kind of drops down as the newness wears off. A lot of people go for the bright, shiny object. And you've been the bright, shiny object person before too. Oh, well, I've got this, but something else is better. The grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. Or you get a new car, you get the new car fever. You got to have that new, bright, shiny object. Oh, the smell of the car, the interior, that new car smell, or having this nice new car that with all the features that I ever wanted on it. You know the feeling. You've got to have it. But then after you've driven the car for a couple of weeks, it's just your same car. And you didn't realize every car in town or every car in the block is the same color as your car. How did that happen? Well, it just happens like that. It's because you're noticing those things. But you're going to have some inner drive so that we don't lose the motivation. How do we do that? Well, we work on goals that are your goals, that your ideas, not someone else's ideas saying, you should do this or you should do that. It's, I want to do this. And when you have that inner drive, it's your goal, it's your project, it's your deal, then you can have enough inner drive, enough, we call it motivation, to attain your goals. Now, change takes courage. And courage, I don't mean, courage is, I guess, sort of bravery, but courage is feeling the fear and overcoming that fear by doing something. You have a fear of doing something, but you do it anyway. You have a real fear of doing something. Never forget when I was doing aerobatic flying. I had a fear of, doing loops and spins, but I did it anyway. And I found out I can do it. Other people can do it. I can do it too. And it was really an eye-opening experience to be able to do that. Now, it takes some courage to overcome, but you overcome by doing. But remember, I'm not saying that you will win every time. You may not win. But so what? But you did face the fear, and you did take action. And you know what you get from that? Inner confidence, self-confidence. I felt that fear. I looked it right in the face, and I took action. I did something. And that's what I'm talking about. I want you to have that experience of feeling that fear and taking that action, taking the healthy action. Well, doing the change things. You keep on doing that thing that you fear, and pretty soon you're desensitized to that fear. In other words, the fear doesn't hold you captive. The fear doesn't stop you anymore. You say, yeah, I remember feeling the butterflies in my stomach, and I did it, and I was okay with it. And most people's big fear in life is public speaking. And if you do a few public speeches, you may feel the butterflies, but you say, those are normal, those are excitement butterflies, and I'm going to go ahead and feel the fear and do it. Look at what's around you also. Let's say, example, you're trying to lose weight, and you're in some kind of group or gathering, and all of your friends are constantly eating junk food. Well, this makes it a little bit, well, wait a minute, not a little bit, makes it a lot harder, because the temptations of everyone else is doing it, why can't I do it? You lose some of that motivation to lose weight. And you say, well, everyone else is doing it, why not me? So let's look at, the people you're around. Let's say you're trying to get your mental mindset, talking about changing your attitude. We're going to think positive. Everything's going to be good. Everything's going to work out great. And you got to watch out for the friends that you're around. Some of them can be negative. And you know the person I'm talking about. If I say negative person, bam, somebody comes up in your head. And maybe you should decrease the amount of time you spend around that person. Or, even better, if you don't find that person, how about cutting them down the amount of time you watch the news? Yes, I guess we all caught. The amount you watch the news. The news is primarily negative. The old thing in the newsroom is if it bleeds, it leads. It means if it's a bad story, of course it leads. So you might think about changing the channel on TV and decreasing the time you spend with those negative friends. And that way you'll have time for you to help meet your goals and your goals for change. If you're worried about, what will others think of me if I change this, if I do this? Well, I've got news for you. Big news, breaking news. Others might not even notice that you've changed. They're really tied up in their own lives. So they may not, your change may be nothing to them. They may not give a thought about it. So most people are pretty self-centered. And that's okay. But you don't need to be controlled by what you think other people will think of you. Well, what about giving up? People say, well, you failed 3 times, 5 times, 8 times. Give up. Just quit. Well, did you give up when you were a child learning to walk? You fell down. I bet it was more than 5 times, more than 10 times. But you got up and walked again. And you fell down again, and you got up and walked again. We really exaggerate the fears of failure. We exaggerate this. If you fail, guess what? The sky doesn't fall. People won't laugh at you. They don't mock you behind your back. They're really kind of envious of you for trying because they didn't even try. Life goes on. It does. Life goes on. And when will people basically change? When will you change? Well, people will change when the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change. Where will all this be in 5 years? You changing. Will anybody care that you changed? But if you have pain of staying where you are, and that is greater than the pain you perceive of change, then you'll change. So when the pain of staying where you are is greater than the pain of change that you even imagine, because the pain of change is probably a lot less than you imagine, what will happen? Well, what do you change? How do you change? There are plenty of people you can go to for advice, your friends, your relatives, your neighbors, your church members, the social group. Plenty of people have advice for you. You say, well, I don't have anybody I'm comfortable sharing that with. Do it anonymously. How do you do that? Online, YouTube, forums, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of these things, the social networks. Everybody will have an attitude and a advice and an opinion. But once you get those and see how diverse they are, then you'll get your own opinion, what you should do yourself. I'm Dr. George Flynn. You've been watching In-Depth TV. Thank you for watching.